Remember, when planning a cemetery, try to avoid high-risk coastal areas. I have one of those new pop-up tub stoppers at home, and let me tell you, those things are just a magnet for hair and debris. A local critic once wrote that Amos Beauregard was the Rodin of the Bayou, but Beauregard was functionally illiterate and had no idea who Rodin was. A local critic once wrote that Amos Beauregard was the Rodin of the Bayou, but Beauregard was functionally illiterate and had no idea who Rodin was. I used to buy Sunshine sunscreen until I read it contains 7 hormone-disrupting chemicals and palm oil. Remember, if you find yourself hard aground, the best thing to do is stay with your canoe and die the death of an honorable seaman. If a group of consenting adults wants to perform cryptic rites to shadow forth the prophecy of the great old ones, who am I to judge? A clock would hardly be the strangest thing ever retrieved from a crocodile's mouth. In spite of their reputations as wrestlers, alligators haven't mastered the nuances of scientific holds like the figure 4. While adorable, these soft-stuff mascots don't provide much in the way of nutritional value. We appreciate the grant from Sunshine Solutions that made this show possible. We'd also like to remind viewers that mass cloning and gene editing for today's military is safer than ever. The artist spent 16 years building this sculpture out of trash pulled from the lake, only to have it thrown back in the lake by intoxicated locals. Until local police departments settle a dispute over jurisdiction, these two remain a popular attraction for selfie-seeking snorkelers. Shark versus dolphin. Orca versus giant squid. Boat versus pylon. When establishing dominance, the contest is usually a deadly one, with survival as the prize.
First my tie's on me.
The battle is over, but the war goes on. The threats to our ocean seem overwhelming, but by working together now, we can ensure that future generations always have a place to dump their old tires. I would like to assure the Antolini crime family that this footage will in no way be used in the final edit of our program. Handyman special overlooking breathtaking panoramic lake views, open living with vintage appeal, called Deborah. As with many social movements, the annual Driftwood Man Festival purports to foster progressive change, but it's really just an excuse for hippies to flout public nudity laws.
Catching me, I know it. Yeah, a breeze.
The spring of '73 was a magical time in Port Clovis when local favorite Trash Talk placed 20th in the Derby and the city placed first in the country for petty theft.
Surface!
While most know him as the friendly face of Captain Winky's Fish and Chips, in real life, the pirate was a genocidal monster who murdered and enslaved thousands. New USGA Rule 4.1A2 might have saved these damaged clubs from abandonment. The teeth in the water. Upon using this medication, if you experience priapism, do not attempt to improvise your own surgical shunt. Tigeroos are part of a complete balanced breakfast for anyone aspiring to one day suffer from fatty liver disease. Somebody's drinking team has a drowning problem. Hockey sticks are still legal according to Baton Tordu course rules, but not for long if membership director Doug Thompson has anything to say about it. Golf ball diving is an exciting and growing field where you can risk alligators and venomous snakes for 7 to 10 cents per ball. The members of Baton Tordu who commissioned this piece apparently found it whimsical, whereas if you ask me, it's a little trite and unimaginative. Consistently the most difficult hole on the course, many golfers struggle with this par 7 humdinger. Long a haven for small government ideologues, Port Clovis prides itself in its lax amusement park safety standards. As is well known, volleyballs make way better friends than soccer balls, who will stab you in the back the first chance they get.
Suffocating out today.
There's no such thing as a recession-proof business, except for the frozen banana stand. Whether boom or bust, the demand for reliable, quality frozen bananas remains a constant. While homeless and itinerant hobos will work for a living, they are not to be confused with bums who are sedentary and refuse to work. Kind of like my son Jeffrey. Believe it or not, people paid over $12,000 to sleep in these tents and listen to Swedish DJs for an entire weekend. Like most American cities, the founders of Port Clovis were Freemasons, and probably Illuminati, who congregated in secret UFO bases to perform Luciferian blood rituals. If only someone had done their 6th grade reading assignment, perhaps this tragedy could have been avoided. Pride in boat ownership manifests itself in a variety of ways here in Port Clovis. This trimaran, like many before it, was lost in its journey to the mythological dry land. When it was discovered that their Stonehenge replica was astronomically misaligned, enraged Port Clovians threw it in the ocean. In the not-so-distant future, a young visionary entrepreneur will spot these 3 shells while snorkeling and revolutionize after-toilet care. While they appreciate human sacrifices, The eldritch gods of yore are seldom enthused about being summoned to Port Clovis. Pulling off a successful casino heist is made even harder when you drive off the road into the ocean and drown. After the end of the tiki craze, bar owners toss their Polynesian-inspired decor into the Gulf, where their kitschy charm is completely lost on native marine life. Blah, 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 late-stage capitalism. There is a very real risk of drowning while surfing, but at least you'll leave behind a cool-looking skeleton. Every summer, Port Clovis plays host to the Megasonic Electro Carnival, giving a real boost to the local MDMA industry. Port Clovis considered removing these naval mines after the war, but the city had already spent its annual budget booking a Nickelback cover band for the 4th of July. Orcas do enjoy playing with toys, but not half as much as a day-old seal carcass. Even after the creation of a killer clown task force, clown-related homicide still remains a problem in Port Clovis. After losing to King Crush in the 2011 Monster Mania semifinals, Big Finn stepped away from the limelight for a simpler, more natural way of life. If you're like me, you're probably wondering what their secret is for such durable papier-mâché. Recently, Port Clovis has gained a reputation for its derivative, politically confused street art. Shockingly, this was only Alex's second worst birthday. Port Clovis City Council never misses an opportunity for cross-franchising. If a T-Rex is your favorite dinosaur, then you're boring and unoriginal and you need to pick a different favorite dinosaur. This recreation of the Titanic was so accurate, 1,500 people died during its maiden voyage. Sea sponges' demand for pineapple homes has sparked massive deforestation throughout Costa Rica. But being brainless, sponges rarely weigh the consequences of their buying decisions. Even the self-driving technology of Gazorpazorp is not without its reliability concerns. Port Clovis has long been a popular dumping ground for the military, thanks to its lenient regulations and low tipping fees. This is quite a find. Although, that depends on the gold market, which has really been underperforming lately. I blame the Fed, of course, but what can you do? Giant monsters, or kaiju, occasionally visit Port Clovis to pregame, before destroying more worthwhile cities. No one knows who built this mysterious underwater base, but odds are they probably own a Nehru jacket and a Persian cat. A great way to discourage museum attendance is to put your museum underwater. Ice fishing is similar to regular fishing, but enjoyable only to upper Midwesterners.